Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unpacking an absolute marvel of technology that has fundamentally changed modern medicine. We're talking, of course, about mRNA vaccines. Now, this specific tech gained worldwide attention and, frankly, immense gratitude during the COVID-19 pandemic. And that was all thanks to its incredibly rapid development, high effectiveness, and really strong safety profile. But while most of the world was introduced to it during a global crisis, the actual science behind the scenes, it's this fascinating long-running story of biology meeting engineering. So we're going to look at exactly what these vaccines are, how they work inside your body, and why they represent such a massive breakthrough.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the blueprint of life. Then, we'll see exactly how mRNA vaccines work. Take a look inside the vaccine itself. Compare traditional versus mRNA vaccines, and wrap up by exploring the future of medicine.
Section 1. The Blueprint of Life. Let's understand the core biology.
To really grasp how these vaccines function, I want you to imagine that your human cell is a tiny, highly efficient factory. And, every factory needs a set of instructions so it knows what to build, right? Well, at the very center of your cellular factory is messenger RNA, or mRNA. By definition, mRNA is a single-stranded molecule that carries genetic instructions from your DNA over to your cellular machines, which are called ribosomes. That is where proteins are actually synthesized. You can really just think of mRNA as a temporary blueprint. Your DNA is the master blueprint, right? It's securely locked away in the vault, and it absolutely shouldn't leave. So your cell just makes a quick temporary copy, that's the mRNA, to take out to the factory floor and tell the cell exactly which proteins to produce.
And this brilliantly illustrates that normal biological process. DNA leads to mRNA, which leads to protein. This is the fundamental formula of life, and it's literally happening inside you right now. The DNA holds the code, the mRNA carries the message, and the resulting protein does the actual heavy lifting. But the absolute key thing to remember here is that the mRNA is strictly a temporary middle step. As soon as the protein is made, that mRNA blueprint is naturally broken down and totally discarded by the cell.
Moving to Section 2. How mRNA vaccines work, turning the body into a shield.
So, now that we know how the cellular factory operates normally, let's look at how scientists have cleverly used this exact same system to actively fight off dangerous pathogens. An mRNA vaccine contains laboratory-produced messenger RNA, but instead of coding for just any random protein, this synthetic mRNA encodes a very specific antigen from a pathogen. When this is introduced into your body, the mRNA enters your cells and tells them, hey, produce this specific antigen protein. By delivering synthetic mRNA directly into the cells, we completely bypass that DNA step we just talked about. And the really amazing part? Your immune system recognizes this newly made protein as a foreign invader and builds up immunity to it. All of this happens without you ever being exposed to the actual dangerous pathogen.
Let's walk through how this builds into a very precise 5-step defensive operation. Step 1 is administration, getting the shot injected right in the muscle tissue. In Step 2, we get cellular uptake, which is just your cells absorbing those tiny mRNA molecules. Step 3 is protein production. Your cellular ribosomes read that mRNA and synthesize the antigen protein. Boom. Step 4 is the immune response, where your body recognizes the antigen as an invader and attacks. And finally, Step 5, immunological memory. Memory cells stick around in your body, providing a standing, ready-to-go protection against any future infections.
I really want to focus on that 4th step for a second, the immune response, because this is where your body deploys the heavy hitters. Once your immune system spots that foreign antigen protein, it orchestrates a highly coordinated counterattack. It generates antibodies to neutralize the threat, helper T cells to direct and coordinate the whole immune response, and cytotoxic T cells to hunt down and destroy any infected cells. It's a remarkably robust, multi-layered defense mechanism, fully trained and ready to go, all thanks to one temporary blueprint.
Section 3. Inside the vaccine, the anatomy of the shot.
So we know what it does biologically, but what is physically floating around inside that little vial? Well, think of it almost like a recipe with 3 core ingredients. First, obviously, is the messenger RNA itself, carrying those genetic instructions for the target antigen. But here's the catch. mRNA is incredibly fragile. If you just injected it on its own, your body would destroy it instantly. That's why we absolutely need the second component, lipid nanoparticles, or LNPs. Think of these as microscopic bubbles of fat. They wrap around the fragile mRNA, protecting it and actually helping it slip safely into your cells. And finally, we have buffer solutions and stabilizers, which just do the mundane but important job of keeping the vaccine stable while it's stored and administered.
Now, there are actually 2 distinct types of mRNA vaccines we can whip up with this recipe. The first are non-replicating mRNA vaccines. These are straightforward. They simply contain the mRNA that produces the antigen directly. The big advantages here are a beautifully simple design and a really high safety profile. But then we also have self-amplifying mRNA vaccines. These are fascinating because they contain extra genetic info that allows the mRNA to actively copy itself once it's inside your cells. The huge advantage of this self-amplifying type is it creates a vastly stronger immune response, meaning you can use a much lower dose of the vaccine to achieve the same protection.
All right, Section 4, traditional versus mRNA vaccines, a real technological leap.
So how does this modern biotech actually stack up against the older vaccines we've relied on for decades? Now, what's really interesting about this side-by-side contrast is the pathogen itself. Traditional vaccines usually contain the actual pathogen, whether it's weakened or inactivated. mRNA vaccines absolutely do not. And because there is literally zero live pathogen used, the infection risk from an mRNA vaccine is none, zero. Whereas with live traditional vaccines, there's always a very low but technically possible risk. Furthermore, look at production time and flexibility. Traditional vaccines require really complex, lengthy manufacturing processes. mRNA vaccines, they are vastly faster to make, relatively rapid to scale, and highly adaptable.
So pulling from those comparisons, the advantages of this technology are just massive. Rapid development is a total game changer. We can literally design vaccines at lightning speed the moment a pathogen's genetic sequence is known. We've seen incredibly high effectiveness with strong antibody and T-cell responses. They offer unparalleled safety since there's zero risk of causing the infection itself. Their flexibility means we can easily tweak them for new variants, and the manufacturing is wonderfully scalable, meaning we can standardize production and crank it up rapidly when the world suddenly needs billions of doses.
Yes, but as with literally any leap in technology, we have to ground ourselves in reality. There are still some hurdles and engineering challenges. Because mRNA molecules are naturally so unstable, some formulations require extreme cold storage. And let's be honest, that makes global distribution incredibly difficult. Plus, advanced manufacturing and those extreme storage systems, they drive up the cost. And finally, yes, there are side effects. You might get some pain at the injection site, a fever, fatigue, or a headache. But it's really important to remember that these are generally temporary. They're actually a great sign. It just indicates that your immune system is waking up and doing its job.
Finally, Section 5, the future of medicine. Going way beyond infectious diseases.
You know, the massive success of mRNA vaccines during the pandemic was really just the opening act. This incredible leap forward simply wouldn't be possible without a massive, decades-long foundation of advanced biotechnology. We are literally standing on the shoulders of recombinant DNA technology, rapid genome sequencing, bioinformatics, and nanotechnology, which is what gave us those clever little lipid nanoparticles, along with a host of other advanced molecular biology techniques. It's the combination of all these fields that allows scientists today to rapidly design, sequence, and test these vaccine candidates practically overnight.
So the crucial point to take away is that mRNA platforms are rapidly expanding far beyond what we've already seen. Right now, researchers are actively developing universal influenza vaccines. They are making massive strides against emerging infectious diseases like rabies, Zika, and HIV. We're even looking at combination vaccines. Imagine targeting multiple different pathogens with just a single shot. But perhaps most remarkably of all, scientists are developing personalized cancer vaccines. They are literally using mRNA to teach an individual's own immune system to hunt down and destroy their specific, unique cancer cells.
It is, without a doubt, a major breakthrough in modern medicine. By simply delivering genetic instructions, we are turning the human body into its very own defense factory. From ending global pandemics to the very real potential of treating cancers, the applications seem almost limitless. Which leaves us with a truly fascinating question to ponder. As biotechnology continues to advance at this breakneck pace, are we entering an era where our own cells actually hold the cure? Thank you so much for exploring this explainer with me today. Keep asking questions and keep learning.